Today we're going to read the fifth chapter 5, Home at Last, in the book Meet Kirsten. This will be the last chapter of the book, and I hope you will enjoy this chapter. The last chapter was a little sad, but now Home at Last, we're going to see where they're at and where home is at. Riverton, Minnesota. That's where home is at. It was raining when Larson left the Red Wing. Kirsten didn't watch the riverboat pull away from the dock. She didn't ever want to see that boat again because Marta had died on it. She was lonely for Marta, and there wasn't any sun in Minnesota to look at with a prayer, so Marta looked at the town of Riverton. She saw wet houses, wet trees, wet horses pulling wagons loaded with wet logs. She blinked into the rain. "God bless you, Marta," she whispered. Mama touched her cheek. "Cheer up, Kirsten. When Papa and the boys come back with a wagon, it will only take a few hours to reach Uncle Oliv's farm." Papa frowned with worry when he strode back to the dock where Kirsten and Marta waited. "We don't have enough money left to rent a horse and a wagon." Mama sold her slump. "What will we do?" she asked. Papa made his voice strong. We have our good legs. We'll walk to Oliv's farm. We'll just have to leave the trunks here." Mama looked first at the big painted trunk that held their most precious things, then at the black food trunk with Papa's name lettered on its side. "Everything we own in the world is in those trunks," she said sadly. "How can we get along without our clothes and your tools?" "We'll take what we can carry now, and we'll have the trunk shipped later," Papa said. "Don't lose heart." He began taking blankets and tools from the big trunk. After a moment, Mama said, "It can't be helped. We'll send for them soon. People are more important than things, and we'll all be together, and well, thank God." She made a bundle of the bread and cheese that was left, then closed the food trunk. "Papa said we need everyone's hands today, Kirsten. You must put your doll here with the other things. You can get her again when the trunks are shipped to us." Kirsten knew she couldn't say no to Papa. Gently, she put Sari on top of the sweaters and linens in the painted trunk. Before Papa closed the top, she kissed Sari's faded cheek. "You'll be with me soon," she whispered. Then Papa fastened the lock, and he and Lars dragged the trunks to the warehouse. The family followed Papa down the road along the river, past tiny houses built on split logs. Everyone carried a bundle, and they walked for hours. Kirsten's boots were heavy with mud. Her wool skirt was soaked through to her petticoat. Sometimes she heard a cow moo, but there were long stretches of forest or prairie between farms. Even Lars was tired now. He walked with his head down, his long hair plastered to his neck by the rain. By the afternoon, the rain stopped. The sky was smooth, blue bowl. Meadowlarks flew up from the fields, and daisies and black-eyed Susans blossomed beside the road. The Larsons were a long, long way from town when they stopped to eat lunch. "Oliv's wrote us the truth," Papa said. "The soil here is good. We'll have a better life." Before they walked on, Kirsten picked a daisy for Mama to wear at her collar. Now Papa asked the way at each farm they passed. At last he said, "The next one is Oliv's." In the distance, Kirsten could see a house, a large barn, and a tiny cabin. Cows ambled down the field toward the barn to be milked. Smoke rose from the chimney of the house. Lars and Peter began to run, splashing through puddles. Lars shouted, "Hello!" and Peter cried, "We're here, we're here." A man with a smile like Papa's came from the barn. Two girls and a woman ran from the house. They waved and they called out, "Hello, hello, it's you at last." Suddenly Kirsten was shy. She shrank back behind Mama. Then she heard her own name above the shouts and laughter. "Kirsten, you must be Kirsten." The taller girl, who had brown braids and gray eyes, took the heavy bundle from Kirsten's arms. "I'm Lisbeth. I've watched for you every single day." The little girl with rosy cheeks crowded in. "I've watched too. I'm Anna." Everyone was hugging. Aunt Inger tried to get all the children into her arms at the same time. Papa and Uncle Olive pounded each other's shoulders. Uncle Olive grabbed Lars, then lifted Peter off his feet. Mama cried. Aunt Inger cried. Then they started hugging all over again. Uncle Olive said, "Come see the barn." "No, you don't," said Aunt Inger. Her smiling face was flushed and red. "There the girls are. Hello, it's you at last." See, they were coming to meet Kirsten there. "First, we'll have supper. They're tired and hungry, Olive. They've come halfway around the world to get here, and we walked all day long," Peter added. And Inger hugged Peter again. Then she turned to Mama and Papa. "You can get settled in your cabin after supper. And tomorrow you men can look at the barn while we women talk. Now come in and eat." From the doorway, Kirsten saw fresh bread and butter, a big bowl of potatoes and onions, and a platter of fresh fish on Aunt Inger's long wooden table. Her mouth watered when she noticed a berry tart cooling on the back of the stove. "Don't worry about a little mud," Aunt Inger said as they began taking off their boots. Then she saw that their clothes were wet too. "But look how you're soaked through," she added. "You'll catch cold. We'll find you all some dry things right now." She bustled to a painted trunk like the one Kirsten's family had left in Riverton. From the trunk she took men's brown trousers and white shirts, a blue dress for Mama, and another one for Kirsten. This was Lisbeth's, but she's outgrowing it. "It will do for now," said Aunt Inger. "Go put it on and come right down for supper." Kirsten followed Lisbeth and Anna up the ladder to their place in the loft. Anna gave her a piece of worn quilt to dry her wet arms and legs. "Tomorrow we'll show you our secret fort," she said. "Lisbeth and I play there with our dolls." "We'll tell you all about it later," Lisbeth added as she handed Kirsten a petticoat. "But let's hurry now. We're hungry, and I bet you are too." The dress from Aunt Inger was patterned with little red flowers. Kirsten pulled the soft cotton over her head, and Lisbeth did up all the buttons. Now Kirsten was dressed just like her cousins. She followed them down the ladder into the cozy kitchen. When Aunt Inger saw Kirsten, she laughed and pretended to be surprised. "Who's this new girl?" she asked. "Have I met her before?" Mama took Kirsten's hand and turned it around for a good look. "Why, don't you recognize Kirsten Larson, my American daughter?" The next morning, Kirsten woke up in her own bed in a small log cabin on Uncle Olive's farm. The cabin was made of split logs. It had bare plank floor, a small fireplace, and one tiny window. Through the window, Kirsten could see a maple tree. "I'm home," she thought. "My cousins live right next door. We'll be friends." The morning sun was already hot, and grasshoppers jumped in the long grass when Lisbeth and Anna led Kirsten down the path toward the stream. "You didn't tell your brothers about our fort, did you?" Anna asked. "Our fort is only for girls." Anna's cheerful round face made Kirsten smile. "No, Anna, I didn't tell them about the fort. I can keep a secret, I promise," she said. "Oh, good." Anna carried her rag doll under her arm. The doll's smiling, painted face made Kirsten miss Sari all over again. Lisbeth held up her hand for them to stop walking. "Is anyone coming?" she asked Anna. Anna scampered back a few steps, looked down the path they followed through the woods. "No one's coming. We're alone." "Follow me then," Lisbeth told Kirsten. She lifted up a pine branch and stepped off the trail into the woods. A carpet of sweet-smelling pine needles covered the ground under the trees. "We go to our fort through the pines, so we won't leave footprints," Anna explained. "We don't want anyone to know where we are." "Here's the entrance," Elizabeth said. She went down on her knees, crawled into a tunnel made of sumac branches. Kirsten tucked up the skirt of her new dress and crawled after her. The tunnel ended under the green branches of a wild cherry tree. Elizabeth sat back on her heels. "Here's our fort, Kirsten." Anna pulled off her sunbonnet and hung it from a branch. "Do you like it here?" she asked. Kirsten looked around. The overhanging branches made a small, cool room under the tree. She let out a long breath. "Oh, yes," she said. "Here's where our dolls sleep," Lisbeth said. She laid her doll on a bed made of sticks tied together at the corners with braided grass. "Now come up to the loft. Hold tightly so you don't fall." She grabbed the lowest limb of the tree and pulled herself up into the branches. Kirsten gave Anna a boost up, then climbed after her onto a strong limb. "Here's where we keep a lookout for boys," Anna said, swinging her legs. "Of course, we've never seen a boy in the woods, but with Lars and Peter here, we might." "If we see a boy, we'll get down low and stay quiet," Lisbeth said. "That's one of our rules, Kirsten." "Do you promise to keep the rules?" "Oh, I promise to keep all your rules," Kirsten said. She looked out over the trees. When she left Sweden, she never imagined she was on her way to a hiding place in a cherry tree. "Since you live here now, you must have a place in our fort just for your doll," Elizabeth said. "Choose where," Anna insisted. Kirsten peered down through the branches into the fort below. "There," Kirsten said, and she pointed to a moss-covered spot. She scooted down the tree and patted the grass. It was soft and cool. "Oh, Sari would like it here." Anna climbed down too. She got her doll, walked her across the fort to Sari's spot. "I'm coming to visit," she made her doll say. "Where is Sari?" "Sarah is still on her way," Kirsten answered. "But come visit me. I'm here." "See how you live now. You must have a place in our fort," Elizabeth said. So here's Kirsten. This is Kirsten in the middle. Anna and Lisbeth right over here. So look at that. They were up in the tree and they're hiding in the tree. I hope you enjoyed that story of Kirsten being home. She's having a good time with the cousins. Thank you for listening and have a good day. God bless.